Welcome to Nature to Nurture, simply caring for our children, where we explore the simple joys and practices of nurturing children in today's world. I'm Tiffany, your host and guide on this journey of discovery and growth. In each episode, we delve into topics that matter most to parents, caregivers, and anyone passionate about providing loving, meaningful care to little ones. From embracing traditional practices to harnessing the power of nature in child development, we cover it all with a focus on simplicity and heart. So whether you're a seasoned parent looking for fresh insights or a new caregiver eager to learn, join us as we dive into the world of nurturing care practices and celebrate the beauty of childhood. Let's embark on this journey together because every moment spent nurturing a child is a moment of beautiful connection and growth. Hello and good morning or afternoon or evening. Doesn't matter when you're listening to this. I am listening to it bright and early on this morning. It is dark. I've got my cup of coffee, café de olla. I'm sitting at the kitchen table and I'm remembering how I used to wake up in the mornings at this exact time and find my grandpa sitting here at this same table, drinking his coffee, starting the day. Well, welcome to Nature to Nurture. My name is Tiffany, and I'm your host today. And I am quite excited to chat with you about rhythms and rituals and how, just like nature, we have them too, and they really can support us. Let me take you on a journey with a sweet little story. As the leaves start to change their colors in the fall, we get to witness this slow, sometimes quick, beautiful transformation that's part of nature's rhythm. The trees don't hold on to their leaves, and the animals do not ignore the signals to gather their food, and the earth doesn't fight against this shift in weather. We have seen here locally bears getting into the trash cans. We have seen here within the U.S. hurricanes coming during hurricane season. It follows a rhythm. If the trees didn't drop their leaves, or if the animals didn't prepare for the cold months ahead, they wouldn't survive the winter. There is a purpose to the preparation, a reason for the rhythm. And the same goes for us. When I look at how nature prepares, it reminds me how important it is to notice the rhythms that we have within our own lives. Just like nature, our daily rhythms, whether we realize it or not, are there. Our morning starts and we get into a routine. Maybe it's coffee or tea, getting the kids out the door. And just like in nature, these rhythms serve a purpose. They help us flow through our day and they guide us from one moment to the next moment. But what happens when we ignore these rhythms? When we aren't in a rhythm ourselves, when we don't have a clear plan or a sense of structure, we can feel anxious, lost, and overwhelmed, just like an animal that didn't prepare for winter. And that's when exhaustion creeps in, when we feel like we're constantly trying to catch up, but never quite there. And it's fall. Our bodies are telling us that the seasons are changing and that we need to adjust our routines and we need to follow in with the seasons as well. You may not realize it, but the daylight hours are decreasing and your body knows. In my own life, I have completed a ton of trainings and classes on nature-based education, forest school practices, and holistic teaching practices, really focused on young children 0 to 5. But one thing that I found so interesting is that the same principles that we teach these young children about creating rhythms and routines, self-regulation, communication, all of this, it directly applies to adults. In fact, it's what we see in most of our coaching and professional development courses, the same things that we're teaching those 0 to 5-year-olds. These early years set the foundation for life. That's when our brain is developing and making 90% of the connections that it makes, understanding how life works and what we need to do to be successful. Well, we can use those same lessons to create rhythms for us that help us stay regulated, purposeful, and connected as we go through our days. When I started bringing rhythm into my life, I noticed how much smoother things became. Not just for my family, but for myself. Whether it's starting our mornings with intention, maybe a warm cup of tea or coffee, setting aside some quiet time in the sun in the morning. These small rituals create a rhythm that allows us to transition through the day with ease and peace. You see, there's no rush, no constant decision making. We know what's coming up next because we set it up that way. Speaking of transitions, this is where I'm going to bring in a different metaphor. Let's talk about music. I love music, all kinds of music. I have been a musician for many years in my life, and I sing in the car every single day, so I'm still a practicing musician, right? The rhythm, the beat, is what gives the song its structure. Without having that rhythm, it would feel disjointed and chaotic. We know what the rhythm is because we have the music sheet. We know what to play. We know what's coming up next. And when we set up a rhythm for a day, we create that same kind of flow. It doesn't mean things have to happen at exactly the same time every day, but it does mean there's a general structure, a cadence that we follow. Just like the musician knows when to speed up or slow down within the song, they still know what's coming next, even if the timing isn't rigid. I think back to some acoustic versions of songs, and it's not like what you hear on the radio, right? Because they are able to adjust the rhythm, but they still know what's coming up next. They still are able to have that beautiful flow. Creating a rhythm for our day allows you to move seamlessly from the first activity to the next. It helps you to eliminate that feeling of being stuck, unsure of what to do next, and anxious about how to manage everything. It's like knowing the melody of a song. When you know the rhythm, you can relax into it and enjoy the flow. Think about when you have seen a musician who is just in it. They're not thinking about what's coming next. It's just coming out of them because it is familiar, it is known, and the thought about what's coming up next isn't on their mind. Instead, they're thinking, ooh, how can I make this the most beautiful music I can? This is something that I learned while I was also studying forest school principles. When teaching young children using forest school principles, we emphasize rhythm and routine. This is not to restrict them, but to help them feel secure. We also make sure that we follow the rhythm going up in energy and down in energy, up in energy and down in energy, not just going from a high energy to a low energy. This really helps them to flow and to know what's coming up next. It's not about strict time schedules. It is about that natural flow, moving from one activity to the next in a way that feels good and purposeful. Here's an example. This morning, I woke up. It's a morning to do my podcast recording. I know that because it's written on my communication plan. It's in my board. I know what to do. It's part of my rhythm. So I got up in the morning. I went out. I started my coffee. And I have the rhythm to start my coffee. I've got my special coffee spot. I've made it a little bit of a ritual, which I'll talk about later. But I've got my special coffee spot, my special coffee, my special cup. Every morning, I know what I do when I get out here. I start the coffee. I make my coffee. I start a tidy queue, could be laundry or dishes. And then I get to jump into this work block, working on my podcast. After this, I continue to do my reflection time. I open up the chickens. I spend some time outdoors in the sun. And then I know it's time to wake up the kids once the sun is up. What's beautiful is that when everyone knows this rhythm, we're all able to be more connected and at ease. We don't feel rushed. And I know for me, when I follow that rhythm, I'm not rushed and I'm not the one who's being cranky telling everybody to hurry up because they're behind. We're following the rhythm. When we establish a rhythm for our day, it lets us to live more intentionally. We focus on what truly matters, such as spending time with our family or being fully present at work. And we also have part of the routine of taking care of ourselves. The biggest benefit of this all is that we stop feeling so lost, so overwhelmed and anxious, and instead we create a natural flow that really carries us through the day, taking away that feeling of not knowing what to do next. You know that feeling, right? When all of a sudden you get a call and you're asked, okay, what are you doing this afternoon? And you're like, I've got to do this and this and this, but I don't really know. Can I give you a call back in a minute? Because I've got to figure all this out, right? It's draining. It's exhausting. And if you're feeling disconnected or exhausted by all the choices that you have to make each day, I encourage you to think about the rhythm in your life. Where can you add some flow? And where can you establish a pattern that serves you rather than leaves you drained, right? We want those cups filled up, not depleted. I have created a little resource that might help you get started. I have been engaged with Chelsi Jo and the Systemize Your Life program. And if you have not heard about it, go check it out. She's got a podcast. She's got a website. She's got some amazing guides and aids and programs to help you with your life and your business. But through that program, she talks about having a communication plan. And I created a communication plan that has been a game changer for my family. It has helped us to stay organized, making sure that everyone's on the same page. Mainly me. I'm the one I think that uses it the most, but then everybody else can see what's going on in my head. And Chelsi Jo even featured me on her podcast and her blog about it. So if you want to learn more about this communication board, I advise you to go over there and listen to that episode. I will link it in the show notes so that you can listen to it there as well. And I also have my copy of the communication board on there, so you can download that freebie and you can implement that in your house as well. It is pretty amazing. All right, before I close up today, I just want to leave you with one simple thought. Your life, just like nature, has its own rhythm. When you notice it, when you honor it, and when you work with it, you're going to find more peace and flow in your day. So I want you to take some time and to reflect on the rhythms that already exist in your life. What feels natural? What feels good? What could use more attention or structure? What does not feel good? When is the rhythm lost and it sounds like garbled up junk, not like music to your ears? I would love to hear about it. I would love to help you figure out how to create more rhythms and give you some more tips. So feel free to connect with me over on the Nature to Nurture community group or anywhere else where you find me. It's all linked down below. And I thank you so much for just taking the time today to listen. And remember, nature has a rhythm for a reason. And so do you. All right, y'all. Keep nurturing yourself, your family, and flowing in the way that we were made to flow.